Welcome to CorelDraw Hub, and today I'm talking about how to handle vector objects in CorelDraw. Corel graphic application can be used to handle bitmaps as well as vector objects. But then the thing is that you enjoy a higher level of flexibility when it comes to dealing with vector objects because it's a vector application. Vector objects are formed by lines and curves, which can be used to represent real-world objects digitally at a very high scalable quality. Usually for the purpose of printing in either large or small formats, or for animation, or as a 3D object model. These lines and curves are connected in segments by elements called nodes. Each node is entitled to 3 property options, which determines the type of curvature to be formed. Before we can have access to the nodes, there is the need to make this rectangle editable by converting it to curves. To convert to curves, switch to select the Shape tool from the toolbox. From the property bar, click on the Convert to Curves button. The rectangle now becomes editable. By using the Shape tool, we can edit the nodes directly by dragging to reposition, delete, or add new nodes. These are the nodes. We can drag to reposition. We can also right-click and choose Delete to have it deleted. We can also right-click anywhere on a straight line and choose Add for a node to be added. This new node can be repositioned to a new location. This shape currently has 4 straight line segments. Let us convert one of the straight line segments to a curve. Using the Shape tool, right-click on the straight line to be converted to curve. From the pop-up menu, choose to curve. 2 arrows appears on the straight line segment. These are the arrows we can use to control our curvature. Dragging to the top curves it upwards. Dragging towards the bottom curves it downwards. The other one does the same thing. Now that you know how to change a straight line to a curve, let us take a look at how to switch from one node property to the other. There are 3 property options to a node in CorelDraw: cusp, smooth, and symmetrical. The cusp property is used when a corner point like this is to be created. To achieve a balance on the opposite sides of a node like this, symmetrical property is used. When the need arises to control only one side of a node like this, smooth property is used. At this session, I'll take you through how to create these shapes from these circles by switching from one node property to the other. Beginning with the first one, I'll convert the circle to curves. By using the Shape tool, I'll right-click on this node and switch from symmetrical property to cusp. I'll do same for this node and that node.
and then right click on this curve segment and choose to line. I'll do the same for this curve segment as well. In the same way, I'll have this circle converted to curves. And then make sure that this node is activated to the symmetrical property. And then using this arrow, I'll drag to balance the curve on the right with the left. Over here, convert the shape to curves. Right-click on this node and change the property to smooth. Drag the arrow to change the curve segment on the right-hand side of the node. The shaping options in CorelDraw makes it possible to create new shapes from a number of selected shapes. There are 7 different shaping options in CorelDraw: world, trim, intersect, simplify, front minus back, back minus front, and create boundary. World combines selected objects into a single shape with a single fill, and I would like to demonstrate this using a square and a circle. I'll simply need to make sure that the two shapes overlap each other and then select both of them. So let the circle overlap the square and then select both of them. The shaping options then appears on the property bar. So we have the first one being world, trim, intersect, simplify, front minus back, back minus front, and create boundary. The next shaping option is trim. Trim cuts out a portion of an object by using the shape of another object. So over here, I'll be using a square and a circle. Once again, make sure that the two shapes overlap. Select both of them, and from the property bar, choose trim. This cuts out a portion of the square with a circle. The next shaping option is intersect. Intersect creates an object from an area where two or more objects overlap. So I'll just need to make sure that these two intersecting objects are in selection. And then from the property bar, click on the option intersect. This creates a new object from the intersection. Simplify, trim overlapping areas among objects. So again, have both shapes in selection and click on the button Simplify. Front minus back. Front minus back removes the back object from the front object. So in this example, the back object, which is the square, will be removed from the front object, which is the circle. So let's have both of them in selection and then hit on the button front minus back. Back minus front does the same thing in the opposite order. Create boundary. Create boundary creates a new object that surrounds the selected. So having these two objects in selection, click on Create Boundary. And over here, we have that new object. Let's put all that we've learned together to create the letters Q and D. Although there's a tool for inserting letters, using this approach will help prove our proficiency in editing vector objects. Starting with Q, I'll begin by creating a circle with the ellipse tool. So from here, I'll select my ellipse tool and create a circle. The next thing is to create a duplicate of the circle at the same place. So to get that, I'll have to make sure that this circle is deselected by clicking in an empty space. And after that, I'll move to the property bar and reset the duplicate distance on the x-axis and y-axis as well to zeros. Select the circle, move to the Edit menu and choose Duplicate. This creates a duplicate of the circle at the same position with the original. I'll click to hold it at the corner, press down my Shift key and resize it towards the center. This resizes the duplicate with its center fixed at the same position. I'll then bring in a guide to help me with the tail of the Q, and I think a horizontal guide will be much preferred. While the guide is still in selection, click on it again to show its rotation controls and set the pivot to this position. And then using this control, I'll rotate it to give me something like this. And what I have to do again is to duplicate. So I can select it and then hold down Ctrl D to create a duplicate of the guide for me, and then drag to reposition it somewhere here. I now have two circles, an outer and an inner. The inner will take care of this section, and the outer will take care of this section. I'll then select the inner circle, convert it to curves, reach for my shape tool, create a node here, and let me add that you can double click with your shape tool to create a node. So long as the shape is converted to curves, it's possible to do that. And then right click on this node and change the property to cusp. Do same for the other node. And then convert the curve segment over here to a line. So again, right click on the curve segment and choose to line. After that, add a node on the line and reposition it somewhere here. Add another node here and reposition it to balance with the first node. This completes it for the inner circle. I'll go through the same thing for the outer circle. So have it converted to curves. Go from my shape 2, add a node here, another one over here, change the property to cusp, do same here, and then convert this curve segment to a line. Add a node, reposition, and do the same thing over here. That completes it for the outer circle as well. The next thing is to cut out the inner shape from the outer. So I'll have both of them selected, and then from the property bar, choose trim. So the inner is trimmed from the outer. This is now a single shape with a single fill and a single outline. Let's proceed with the letter D. Using the same understanding from the Q shape, let us analyze this visually to settle on the quickest approach to this shape. Looking at it, I can see more of a rectangle than a circle. This means it will be much easier using a rectangle. And I can also see the same shape repeating itself inside. This means after working out the first part, I can duplicate and scale down the copy, trim it from the original to complete the shape. Going through this visual analysis is very important because it gives a clear roadmap to follow till you arrive at your final shape. I'll start by writing for my rectangle 2. Draw a rectangle. Set guides to help me create the curves at the back. Convert the shape to curves. Reach for my shape 2. Create a node here. Another node here. Delete this. Do the same. And set another guide over here. Right click and convert this line segment to curve. Create the curvature over here. And do same over here. My duplicates distance are already set to zeros. Go to the Edit menu, choose Duplicate. I'll select the corner of my duplicated object, hold down my Shift key, and resize it towards the center. After that, make sure both shapes are in selection. Go to the property bar and click on Trim. This trims the duplicate from the original. And again, I have a single shape with a single fill and a single outline.
Thanks for watching. I strongly believe this video has deepened your understanding about the vector side of CorelDraw. Feel free to send me an email on any area that you think needs a further clarification. Thank you.